have to climb that steep wall to get into the markets. What we have tried to do, and Calculus IQ is one product that we have launched, everything else is in pipeline right now. What we have done there is kind of looked at, so the charts that you saw towards the start of the presentation, where analytics sort of a machine, where we are kind of on every 24-hour basis, we are taking in data for both supply, demand, and price, and kind of showcasing it to the market participants so that it's easier for them to get a taste of it and then start participating eventually. So you could just look at, like visit us at our booth, and we are free to give away logins for a trial basis. And historically, I think what we've seen over the last 1 year is some quick validations in terms of how we are trying to approach the market in terms of solving for the rigor, the structural inefficiencies, and we have had some excellent partners to work with. I would love to for you to kind of visit us at our booth and kind of sign up for a demo. And I'll just stop there in case you have any particular questions around the carbon credit or the entire environmental commodity market as such. Thank you. That's it. Cool. Thank you. Okay.
Hi, this is Vishwabandhu from Tata Consumer.
Hello.
How do you think the recent news about Vera being questioned on the rainforest certified carbon credits impacting the Indian markets, especially the deforestation ones that they have?
Yeah, so thanks for that question. So what's happened is, if you look at carbon credit market, it can broadly be divided into two odd sort of credits. One is avoidance credits, another is removal credits. What that means is any project which is abating someone's own footprint from, while they are generating electricity from the grid and shifting it to renewables. So those sort of things qualify under avoidance, versus removal would be any project which kind of sequesters the already existent carbon in the atmosphere. So deforestation, because it's something which is akin to protecting the existing land of pact of forest, it qualifies under avoidance credits. And avoidance credits, so not just deforestation, but even renewables, so to say, they have currently already been phased out of the market, right? So both in terms of demand as well as supply, investors don't really anymore look to purchase those credits coming out of those projects and then using that for their net zero. So for example, as I said towards the start, I think India is well positioned in terms of not having as much exposure to REDD plus credits. Most of our credits today come from outside renewables. They come from AFLU, which is agriculture, sustainable agriculture, regenerative agriculture, and your energy efficiency like efficient cook stoves, LED, so on and so forth. So
how about projects like Miyawaki or mangrove conservation, which are very focused on climate impact but not so much yielding as far as carbon credits are concerned? How are they positioned in the market, especially if you link it to some social angle and bring in a gold standard concept into this?
Right. So two parts to that question. One is obviously mangrove as well as Miyawaki. Both have excellent. So all of these projects that generate credits do so on back of published research, and which is kind of very well incorporated scientifically as of date. And mangrove, for particularly, has been shown to do it in a excellent way. And you can kind of look at that from the price of the credits that are coming from each of these projects, right? So if I have to look at renewables, they trade renewable credit from India would trade at around $1 a credit, whereas mangrove would trade at $24, right? So that kind of is a symbolism to the kind of quality of sequestration that's happening from mangrove. Now coming to the next part of the question, sorry, what was that?
Miyawaki and
Miyawaki and mangrove, I think both serve as excellent source of carbon credits. Miyawaki, from what I understand, it's just not easy to do that at scale, because by structure it's supposed to be around buildings in urban areas. So you have to aggregate it across a large area or multiple cities, and which becomes an operational challenge. So fixed costs go higher when you go to register those projects. But mangrove, for example, Adani and even Pakistan has been a huge beneficiary of implementing mangrove, and it's serving as an excellent source of FDI for them.
So what you are saying in practice is that we should look at doing mangrove kind of projects more than doing plain forestry projects.
Yeah, so forestry, for example, the issue with that is most of the forest in India is owned by government in some way or the other. And so there's another aspect of the market which is called Article 6. So I think government would itself, so there would not be, in my opinion, a private party play there. Government itself could go and kind of implement that and get a buyer for that. But I think mangrove is something which has been taken up by a lot of corporate parties as part of whether CSR or even outside the purview just for carbon. So
And does this link to the nature-based solution angle as well? The
yeah,
NBS part, which is primarily being linked to these kind of projects,
yeah.
where it goes beyond a corporate's direct business operations and doing this kind of work.
Yeah, so I think the idea of implementing a nature-based solution is to get bumps up in multiple aspects of ESG on their own sustainability report. So obviously, greenhouse gas emission is just one aspect. You can also be solving for biodiversity in that local area for the local flora and fauna. You could be solving for groundwater in a way, not sure about that, and for sure you would be solving for SDG goals. Out of 17, you would be solving for two to three in any kind of nature-based solution. So it helps you better your ESG score on multiple aspects if you invest in any NBS project that way.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You also have one? We'll be very short then. Very short? So there's one more for you.
Sure, sure. Yeah, you're audible.
Hi Neelesh, thank you for that background.
Sure.
I just wanted to ask you about how you see the interplay between carbon sequestration and carbon credits playing
Could you
out.
repeat that? Sorry.
Carbon sequestration versus carbon credits, because a lot of
Yeah.
organizations are on the net zero journey.
Sure.
And obviously there is an element of double counting. So how do you see this
Yeah.
developing forward?
Sure. So I think the way to kind of look at it differently is whether. So I think there are two parts to it, right? So you could divide anything that you're doing towards your net zero into insetting or offsetting, right? Insetting is something in which you are cleaning up your own internal processes, or So for example, you talk about carbon sequestration. Let's say if there's a steel plant which has a lot of smoke being generated at a source. If you can capture that, and that would basically help you reduce your own carbon footprint across scope 1 and 2, versus in case you don't have any such project internally where you could implement a carbon sequestration project, you could even go beyond the purview of your organization and kind of invest in it elsewhere. But in that case, you will be entitled to carbon credits, which you could use to kind of reduce your scope 1 and 3 by offsetting, right? So that's how you would have to, you could only do one of those two things. Either you reduce internally and reduce your carbon scope 1 and 2 as a whole, or you kind of keep your scope 1 and 2 as is and kind of take benefits of carbon credits and then reduce it from there. So idea is to just choose which one, and then that depends on the internal value chain yourself that you have.